So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the US reportedly issuing a formal protest known as a diplomatic démarche. So before we start, we'll talk about a démarche is a petition or protest presented through diplomatic channels. So this is a formal protest that was done by the US. This was done by their top senior diplomat in the UK, Yael Lampert. So the US. So this is important before we go into the article. This is important because it does show you that the UK maybe haven't targeted Boris Johnson as aggressively as they could have done in terms of Biden's rhetoric, but Biden did say that he equates the success of the Good Friday Agreement to the success of the Northern Ireland Protocol. So if the Northern Ireland Protocol fails or has major issues, then the Good Friday Agreement will have those problems as well. In terms of stopping a hard border coming up in the island of Ireland. So this is important because it does show you that the Americans are very concerned about the situation here, despite the fact that it looked fairly cordial between the UK and the US. I think the US are basically waiting for the UK to take unilateral action once again over the Northern Ireland Protocol with regards to chilled meats. So we'll see what happens with that. So going into the actual article, the United States formally reprimanded the United Kingdom over its row with the European Union over the Northern Ireland Protocol, telling British Brexit Minister David Frost his government was inflaming tensions in Ireland, the Times reported on Thursday. So this is kind of second-hand reporting, but we'll roll with it. Frost was told of Biden's great concern during a meeting with Yael Lampert, the most senior American diplomat in the UK. So America have kind of downplayed this a bit, but I doubt they are being as kind of friendly as is kind of put out there, because they are trying to pretend that we are both kind of sovereign countries and we're friends, and friends don't talk to each other in such harsh tones, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So this was according to government notes seen by the Times. So the Times are semi-reliable when it comes to certain things. But yeah, what we can gather from this is that the Americans are very concerned about the situation going on in Northern Ireland. Let's not forget it was the Americans who played a major part in the creation of the Good Friday Agreement. So they are going to be concerned by this. Not to mention the fact that the Irish lobby is very strong in America, and that kind of connection between the two nation states, Ireland and the US, is incredibly strong. According to the Times, the US issued a formal protest known as a diplomatic démarche. Lampert said the US was increasingly concerned about the stalemate on the impending protocol, given government minutes of the meeting seen by the Times. So this is official stuff here, that they are growing increasingly concerned by the situation and by the standoff. But it's interesting that Lampert kind of gave Frost these harsh tones and not Sefcovic. Do you not find that interesting? Which tells you that the Americans are putting the blame here on the UK and not on the EU, despite the fact that Joe Biden was meant to tell the EU to be less, quote, less bureaucratic, which is probably one of the weirdest kind of attacks I've ever heard of. But, he obviously puts most of the blame on the UK, which is interesting, which shows you that, at least in terms of foreign policy, with regards to the UK kind of relations with the EU, he's not a complete clown like his predecessor. Both parties disagree on the execution of sanitary checks for goods coming from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, with the UK unilaterally extending grace periods for certain checks, for checks on certain products for 6 months. So that happened in March or February, I believe, and that was extended until October. So this is talking about the UK unilaterally extending things, which obviously the Americans are going to be aware of, and this is going to be one of the key points I assume that Lampert spoke to with Lord Frost about. So this is where the spin comes in, which really annoys me on some of the statements that these guys make. Greg Hans. So we absolutely agree with the United States. Okay, so you agree that there's a massive problem with Northern Ireland and you're the one inflaming tensions. No, that's not what he says at all. UK Trade Minister Greg Hans said on Sky News on Thursday morning that we agree with the fact that there should be a negotiation, and we absolutely agree on preserving the peace process and the Good Friday Agreement. But to do that, it needs to be more pragmatic and blah, blah, blah. So what they do is, these absolute spin merchants, they'll take a quote, kind of out of context. So, America will say, look, we need to uphold the Good Friday Agreement. And what the British will say is, oh yeah, we agree with that American statement on the Good Friday Agreement, and the only way to actually solve the problem is by being more pragmatic, which is nothing that the Americans say. So it makes it look like the Americans agree with us on our stance. Not to mention the fact that Greg Hans kind of missed a bit about inflaming tensions. Does he agree that with the Americans that Lord Frost and the British are inflaming tensions inflaming tensions in Northern Ireland? Does he agree with that bit? Nah, I don't think so. Lampert suggested that the UK follow EU rules on sanitary standards, assuring the matter wouldn't negatively affect the chances of reaching a US-UK free trade deal, which is interesting because you would think the farming lobby would be absolutely against the UK getting equivalency with the EU and would be pushing for the UK to actively deregulate. So that's an interesting statement from Lampert, I'm not going to lie. We have mentioned it before. But does Greg Hans agree that the UK should be looking at alignment on standards? Does he agree with that with the Americans? No, I didn't think so either. Han said on Times Radio that he was against a system of dynamic alignment in which the UK would have to follow new sanitary rules set by the EU in order to send goods to Northern Ireland, which, having that agreement would get rid of most of the checks within the Irish Sea, so would effectively resolve the situation logistically for the most part. But point being is that, Greg Hans agrees that the Good Friday Agreement needs to be preserved, but doesn't agree with much else that the Americans are saying. Shock. But he won't mention that bit in his little interview, will he? The fact that, say, sausages made in Birmingham will be reaching Tesco's and Sainsbury's in Belfast, that is not a threat to the European Union or health of the European Union. The thing is, right, they're taking a zero-risk approach, which the EU are absolutely entitled to do. They don't want the risk of UK goods getting into Northern Ireland. Into Ireland. So, this kind of argument saying that, this stuff's just going to Northern Ireland, just trust us, bro. Like, you have not built that trust. You have not built that trust. You will not get a trusted trader scheme because the British government simply cannot be trusted. I think the EU actually offered us equivalency at some point, but then they've taken it off the table because the UK cannot be trusted. Equivalency requires trust, and we don't have that. We have Liz Truss, but we have no trust. That was painful. I'm sorry I said that. But a senior US administration official downplayed the Times story, saying this is wrong. First, the discussion wasn't directed by the president. So are you saying Lampert went off the lamb here and did stuff on her own? Like, is she going rogue? It was not heightened. As with any ally, we have diplomatic conversations about areas where we have concerns at many levels. So, you had a conversation about the fact that you were concerned about the UK inflaming tensions in Northern Ireland. Like, okay, that's within the scope of what has been said already. They said Biden's national security advisor, Jack Sullivan, a guy who I've never heard of before the last 2 weeks, has sort of mentioned him a lot, has addressed the issue with Northern Ireland during his BBC interview, and the message sent privately was exactly the same. I don't buy that for a second. I don't think that his public and private statements would be the exact same, because otherwise it's pointless doing both. You just do a public statement at that point. Sullivan told reporters Wednesday that Biden was not issuing threats or ultimatums. He's simply going to convey his deep-seated belief that we need to stand behind and protect this protocol, which is public. He has this has been mentioned publicly, I believe. So that's not a shock here, but the fact that Yael Lampert, who is the US senior diplomat to, she's the US top ambassador, clearly had some harsh words for Lord Frost. So clearly everything is not as nice and friendly as Jack Sullivan is trying to play it out to be, which seems to be the case. Not to mention the fact that we got the DUP Brexit spokesperson Sammy Wilson saying that the US position was ill-informed. Well, how could it be ill-informed when they haven't really said much apart from the success of the Northern Ireland Protocol is required to protect the Good Friday Agreement? If that's all that was said, then I don't understand your point. He goes on to say, this is where Sammy Wilson, you realise the man's a clown, saying that they ignored the central point that the Northern Ireland Protocol breaches the Belfast Agreement. So let's humour this gentleman here. Let's say he's right. Are you saying that the UK acted illegally and breached a international treaty, the Good Friday Agreement? Is that what you're saying, pal? Because if you are, then I'd hate to say it, that the UK clearly won't do anything more to protect the Good Friday Agreement if we've already breached it. If we have already damaged the Good Friday Agreement, just by doing the Northern Ireland Protocol, by agreeing to the Northern Ireland Protocol, then you're saying that not only that the UK has breached the Good Friday Agreement, but also the EU have breached the Good Friday Agreement, and the Americans and the Canadians said nothing. Like, are you stupid? Are you stupid? Are you saying that these kind of international institutions breached the Good Friday Agreement and no one said a word? Sammy Wilson, you're a clown, my friend. In so many ways, not least the removal of any concern of the concerns of the unionist population. Well, we're going to see in a border poll, I think in 2024, or there's some sort of poll that's going to happen with regards to the Northern Ireland Protocol in a few years. So we'll see what happens with that. But this guy Wilson's an absolute fraud. He says, secondly, it ignores the economic damage that the protocol is doing. Well, is that mentioned in the Good Friday Agreement? I don't know, Chief. But yeah. What we can gather from this article is that it looks very likely that the UK was reprimanded for inflaming tensions within Northern Ireland, and the Americans are very aware of the situation right now in Northern Ireland, and they have a vested interest in not seeing the Troubles return. And if the Troubles do return, it will be the UK that's blamed for this, which absolutely is right. That is the UK's fault if tensions start brewing up again. We've already seen the UK inflame tensions, talking about the need to protect Northern Ireland, despite the fact that we're the ones who sacrificed them to get the withdrawal agreement in 2019. We sacrificed them for basically nothing, to be honest. And if the unionists are angry, they have a right to be, but focus your anger on the ones who should be blamed, which is the UK, not the EU. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. What we can see from this article is that the Americans are very aware of the situation and have already rebuked the UK before the UK has confirmed any unilateral action over the next grace period set to end at the end of June with regards to chilled meat. So we'll see what happens. If the UK takes unilateral action, we'll cover it. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.